Today, our text will come from Exodus chapter 1, verses 15 through 22, from the topic, Too Big for Your Britches. And it reads, Then the king of Egypt spoke to the Hebrew midwives, one of whom was named Shiphrah and the other was named Puah. And he said, When you are helping the Hebrew women to give birth, and see to them upon the birth stool, if it is a son, then you shall put him to death. But if it is a daughter, then she shall live. But the midwives feared God and did not do as the king of Egypt had commanded them, but let the boys live. So the king of Egypt called for the midwives and said to them, Why have you done this thing and let the boys live? The midwives said to Pharaoh, Because the Hebrew women are not as the Egyptian women, for they are vigorous and give birth before the midwives can get to them. So God was good to the midwives, and the people multiplied and became very mighty, because the midwives feared God. He established households for them. Then Pharaoh commanded all his people, saying, Every son who is born you are to cast into the Nile, and every daughter you are to keep alive. Exodus chapter 1, verses 15 through 22. Today's topic, Too Big for Your Britches. My family and I love to play board games. One of the games that we love to play is Monopoly. When we play Monopoly, it is cutthroat. It is every man for themselves. We play Monopoly like our lives depended on winning. On one particular occasion, my daughter was winning. She owned Boardwalk, Park Place, and all the railroads. She had a whole bunch of money. And to make matters worse, she was playing with my favorite piece, the thimble. As we continued to play, she was placing hotels and houses on all her property. When we landed on her property, I began to observe how she was smiling and bragging about winning. I must admit, she was on top and she was continuing to rise. I thought to myself, she's getting too big for her britches. So I came up with a plan to collaborate with my sons to make her lose, no matter the cost. Regardless of what had to be done, she had to lose because she was getting too big for her britches. Too big for your britches is a saying that my grandmother would often use. If she felt as though we were not listening to her, if she thought that the children were acting like grown-ups and getting out of place, she would say you were too big for your britches. If she felt like she was losing control over us, she would often say, boy, you're getting too big for your britches. And this is the same mindset that the Pharaoh has in our text today. He is not like the Pharaoh Sesostris III, who in 1878 BC welcomed Joseph and all his family into Egypt and even promoted him to second in charge of all of Egypt. No, the year now is approximately 1517 BC, and the Pharaoh is almost the first. And according to chapter 1, verse 10, he is concerned that the children of Israel are multiplying too much. They are growing too much. And if there's a war in the land, they are going to join themselves against the Egyptians and fight with the Egyptians' enemies. He feels as though he's losing control over the children of Israel. In his eyes, they are getting too big for their britches. And anytime someone feels as though you are getting too big for your britches, here's what you can expect them to do. You can expect them to devise a plan to destroy you. Pharaoh's plan to destroy the children of Israel involved killing every male son born to the Hebrew women, but allow the daughters to live. My plan was to make my daughter go bankrupt in the game to destroy her so that she can lose. And if you're a child of the Almighty, the devil has a plan for you as well. John 10:10 says that his plan is to steal, kill, and destroy. Not only will they devise a plan to destroy you, but they will direct people to destroy you. Pharaoh in verse 15 and 16 tried to direct Shiphrah and Puah, the two Hebrew midwives. He wanted them to be a part of his evil scheme or plan to destroy the male Hebrew boys. I tried to direct my two boys to join me in a collaborated effort to make my daughter lose the game. And if you're a child of the Almighty, be assured the devil is going to direct people to destroy you as well. They may be co-workers. They may be your friends. I have even witnessed the devil turn in-laws into outlaws. Not only will he devise a plan to destroy you, will direct people to destroy you, but he will display persistence in destroying you. After the Hebrew wives Shiphrah and Puah foiled Pharaoh's first attempt at destroying the male Hebrew children, verse 22 says that he persisted in destroying the children by commanding his own people, the Egyptian people, to destroy the Hebrew boys by throwing them into the Nile River. Neither one of my sons wanted to participate in my evil scheme to destroy my daughter's chances of winning, but that didn't stop me. I stuck to my plan and I continued to try to make her lose. If you are a child of the Almighty, the devil is going to consistently try to destroy you. He is always on the job. He is the only person that I know of since the conception of his employment. He has won the perfect attendance award because he's at work on the job every day. But there is hope. There is light at the end of the tunnel. There is a pot of gold at the end of your rainbow. See, we are not like Humpty Dumpty. We have a king that if we fall, he can put us back together again. For in the midst of devising a plan, in the midst of directing people, in the midst of displaying persistence to destroy the Hebrew male boys, the Hebrew midwives Shiphrah and Puah stayed dedicated to the promises of the divine. The Bible says in verse 20 that God was good to the midwives and the people multiplied and became very mighty. Why? Verse 21 tells us because they feared God. They continued to trust in the Lord. They stayed dedicated to the promises of the divine. Although I tried to rattle my daughter's cage, she stuck to her game and she won. She stuck to her plan and she won the game. And all we have to do is stay with the Lord. Stay dedicated to the promises. And we will win too. How do I know we will win? In the midst of all that we've already gone through, we still standing. His record speaks for itself. Time and time again, he's proven to be a deliverer, a sustainer, a provider, a waymaker. His record speaks for itself. All we have to do is to continue to trust in the Lord. When we're walking with the Lord, someone is always going to always think that we are too big for our britches. It comes with the territory, and they're going to always try to bring us down. If you still do not understand, let me open the shades and shed some light with the words of the great poet Mike Jones from Houston, Texas. Back then, they didn't want you. Now you're hot. They all on you. When you were lost, the devil didn't want you. Now you're with Jesus. He's all on you. To God be the glory.